Welcome to the Friday night special right here live on BS3 Network. We're live right now on Roku, BS3 Space TV. We're also live on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and we got a special guest, a one-on-one interview coming up on tonight's show. We have the one and only Clear Lanes. He is a artist. He'll be coming on the show here in just a moment. And we'll be um, doing a one-on-one, just kind of talking about his background, his life, and kind of what he's about. So we're working on bringing him on the show here just a moment. How you doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm doing phenomenal, man. How about yourself?
Good, good. Glad we were able to make this happen. Glad to get you on the show. Artist known as Clear Lanes, also co-host of Be in Your Lane podcast. Well, let's kind of just kick it off and tell myself and the viewers and listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, man. So first off, my name is Ricky. Also go by stage name Clear Lanes. I'm an inspirational music artist out of Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. Also host of the Be in Your Lane podcast and runner of Ain't No Stopping Ministries. For me, man, just a few things that I stand by. I'm a man of faith, man of God first and foremost. I believe in purpose. I believe in destiny. I believe that God has a plan and purpose for His children. So that is my mission, man, is to uh, be a positive inspiration to the culture of hip hop and to youth, to my generation, and to the generation before me, and whoever that God has called me to connect with. Yeah, just a little bit about me, but I'm looking forward to the conversation and everything that you had to offer. So again, thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we were wanting to make this happen. It's been a couple of weeks, so definitely wanted to get you on to tonight's show. And I love your music as well. I listen to a variety of different tracks. Black History, which we played a little bit of, we'll play that towards the end of the show as well. But yeah, it's definitely inspirational, and I think that's what we need. I think the most, especially right now. There's a lot of depression and people that people deal with, and inspiration is definitely the people would need. So, what kind of led you into creating music? Is that something you always been passionate in, or did that something that came up?
Nah, most definitely not. I never saw myself doing music growing up. Again, like I said, sports was my life. My father, he introduced me to sports at a very young age, but music was definitely not it for me. I would say it started in college. And when I started growing my relationship with God was when I started finding the passion to pursue music, man. And it's what's kept me. My faith is what's kept me in music. It's what started me. It's what's kept me in music, and just continuing to push forward, man. So yeah, definitely my faith is what started me doing music.
Definitely. And so for me, I listened to a lot of rap growing up. I mean, you name it. I grew up in California, so in Northern California. So E40, Drew Down. I don't know if you know any of those artists, but that was the Loonies. That was kind of my introduction to rap. Then when I got older, the artist that I found, his name was The Truth, which I don't know if you heard of him out of
Yeah,
Philly.
yeah, I know the
Yeah,
truth. Yeah.
yeah, that was the first artist that I found. Lecrae. Those are kind of two of my artists, and so I'm not gonna say I don't listen to secular hip hop, but I listen to a variety of music, and Lecrae is one of my favorites. So I always go to him, and I'm always looking forward to finding new artists because at some point, you gotta listen to newer music and kind of branch out and hear different people. And you're definitely one of those people, which kind of leads into the next question. What were some influences for you in music,
As far as artists goes,
as far as artists, yeah, or
man,
otherwise too?
I would say my top two would probably be Nipsey Hussle and NF. Nipsey
Okay,
Hussle and NF for sure. Those are my two guys. Nipsey just from the mindset. I couldn't relate to the street side of him, but definitely just the mindset. The hustler's mentality. He just inspired me, man. Just loved his music. Was a big fan, man. So him for sure. And then with NF, just the emotion and the passion that he brings to the microphone and through his music, I was just able to connect just on a deeper level with that as well too. So those are my top two artists for sure.
As far as artists. Yeah, and NF, man, when I first heard his album, I didn't really know who he was, but he had a
Hmm.
song about his parents, a be about his mom, and how his mom just wasn't around. And man, I'm not one of the hardest guys, but I definitely cried on that song, man. That emotion and passion that he had, and
Yeah,
he's just one of those guys that's passionate about his music altogether, and he's
super
willing to,
passionate.
yeah, put his whole heart, on the line. You
Hmm.
don't know a lot of artists like that. Some won't let you in too far, but he is one of those. I would definitely say that I could listen to really any point in time in the day, and he's extremely passionate. Now Nipsey, glad you brought him up. I didn't know a lot about him really either until I started to see, him doing music with other artists, and then I started to realize who he was and the impact that he made on the community. To me, that's bigger than his music. Really, is what he did in the community that he grew up in. So those are definitely two that I 100% agree with you. That are, yeah, definitely top artists.
Yeah, man, and NF, he was the only artist that I've ever actually paid to go see. Like I actually paid to go watch him perform. So, that
Really?
says a lot coming from me. But yeah, man, you hit a nail on the head. Just the emotion, the passion. You don't really see that a lot too much in today's hip hop, man. It's all about numbers and trying to ride the latest wave or trend and stuff like that, chasing clout, as they say. So,
Yeah.
NF is just one of those few guys, man, where you just feel like his soul is in the music. He leaves his soul in the music, and you know, I'm a fan.
Yeah, definitely. And that's interesting. You said you don't really go to concerts. Is that just because you're an artist, or because you're not you're not into going to concerts?
I think a little bit of both. But I do think I take that back. I think as an artist, it made me want to go to more concerts to kind of study and see how guys, rock the mic and stuff like that. But I never really found a guy or, just an artist period that I was just really invested into to go actually pay and go see, to look at the tour dates and see when they're coming in town and like actually make time out. Like, yo, because you got to plan that out, a few months. So, and with him, I did. So, I mean, it just depends on the artist, man. It just depends on the artist.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So I'm gonna let you kind of know my age a little bit. The first concert I went to was Chris Cross.
Oh man.
And not only did I go, but I had overalls on backwards. If people know the history of Chris Cross, they wore their clothes backwards.
Hmm.
And so that was an definitely interesting moment, especially having to go to the bathroom. And that wasn't a pretty sight at all. So
Yeah,
so
Chris
yeah,
Cross. That was what, early '90s.
early '90s, Jermaine Dupri,
Hmm.
the Brat. That was kind of really before the Brat. But yeah, that was kind of my early on concerts. But I've been to some other concerts as well.
Hmm.
Lecrae is definitely one of the guys, like I said, I've been to. He definitely rocks the mic, got the stage presence, and I think that's even more important
Yes.
when it comes to being an artist. It's not just the music side; it's can you perform on a stage and be mesmerizing for people to say, "Oh man," for people to go tweet about it, or people to go word of mouth, and then that gets more people coming.
Yeah, it's definitely about your stage presence for sure. I think it's not as valued as it once was in the past.
Mhm.
Um, like I said, now it's just about the machine and pushing guys through and stuff like that. Whereas back then in your era, like it was like you really had to have talent. Now I've been to a Lecrae concert too. I'm glad you mentioned that. A few years ago, I went to his, but like I said, NF was the only one that I actually paid to go see. So
Yeah,
it just excuse me, just meant more for me. But yeah, no, you're exactly right. Performance is everything.
yeah, yeah. And if you're not able to do that, I think that takes away from, I think, from your artistry for sure.
Yes.
Because then people start to question, like, oh man, his albums are dope, but then when I go to the concert, it's like it's not as entertaining. So that definitely has an impact.
Yeah, most definitely. I agree 100%. And that's something that when I continue to move forward, that's something I would definitely consider and take seriously, as I continue to grow my artistry.
Definitely, definitely. All right, so shout out to Walter Strong. He's tuning in from YouTube. Those of you tuning in, let me know where you listening from. Let me know also if you got any questions for Clear Lanes, the artist on the show tonight, Friday night special, one on one.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the new single,
Yeah.
Black History, which was obviously perfect timing But talk about the inspiration
Yeah,
behind that.
definitely, man. Black history. A few reasons why I made that song. Obviously, being Black history, I felt it'd be a great way for me to just connect with the culture and the community. Come out with a song like Black History and to time it right. So obviously, there's that side, and then I would say number two um, is to change the narrative. I think society has like conditioned us to only feel like we should only value Black history in the month of February, or really just
Right.
shed light on it in the month of February. Whereas I'm like, nah, like Black history ain't just 1 month, man. It's 365.
Exactly.
365. So this song I'm going to continue to push in March, April, May, and so forth. So, and I think the last reason why is just the fact that you should know your Black history. You should know your roots. You should know where you come from, the people before you who've paved the way for you, for you to have the freedom that you have today. I think that's very important. um, I think as generations continue to move forth, um, history kind of fades away, and the meaning of it doesn't have as much meaning as it once did prior. So this is just that song, man, that people can just take with them for years to come.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with that. I understand where Black history came from, which was George Washington Carver, and it first started off as a week, then it became a month. But I think most importantly, like you said, it's 365. We're Black every single day. We're not just Black in February. So
Hmm.
we gotta, especially most importantly, when you have kids, teach them the Black history and the true history beyond slavery, because in school they basically tell you, oh well, Black people started at slavery, which is 100% false. Obviously, we came from somewhere. So I mean, that's even more importance, is to teach the kids what Black history is. Shout out to your partner in crime, Brandon
Hmm.
McDelvey. Thank you for tuning in, co-host, being your lane
What it do, B?
podcast. Definitely. So yeah, this is a song that you should definitely play every month, every day, as many times as you want. Which is, let's talk about that. It's right now on Apple. It's on Spotify. I'm assuming it's on all the various platforms, right?
Yeah, it's on all the main platforms, like you said, Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube. I mean, yeah, it's out everywhere. So y'all go check that out, man. Great song.
Definitely, definitely. And we'll play that at the end so that you're able to hear it as well. But talk about the what I love to hear with artists is the creation of the song. So what was kind of the process? How long did it take you to make? Are you somebody that writes your lyrics down, or you
Hmm.
kind of just go from the top of the dome?
When it comes to songs like that, I write all my music first and foremost. I mean, of course, we freestyle, we work on our craft and stuff like that, but I definitely
Yeah,
write all my music. So when it came to that song, man, I just had to get into my history, man. I just had to
yeah,
get into my history, get into my timelines, just seeing what's out there, what would be good to add to this song. So that's pretty much what I did, man. I just did my homework. And then once I kind of came to my, little rough draft, I just got to the writing, you know, and I
yeah,
heard the beat and I found the hook. I was like, okay, Black history. I was just like, I needed something soulful. I needed something that was just going to really hit you and really stick with you, and I found the perfect beat. And you know, the pen and the beat just they made magic,
yeah,
in the most humble
yeah.
way possible. So,
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's
hmm
up. And definitely that's, you can tell when an artist is passionate about a song. And I could definitely hear that. Because sometimes, it's just I just made this up. Like I can tell you just made this up. I mean, like sometimes you sometimes you hear that and yeah, like,
hmm
yeah, I can tell. So yeah, this is definitely one of those tracks that I could tell that you were definitely all in on. And like I said, it's available on all platforms. Whatever you listen to music on, you can definitely find it there. And we got
most
Clear
definitely.
Lanes on the show. So what are listeners getting from Clear Lanes that they don't get from other artists?
Man, when you listen to Clear Lanes, you're getting positivity, you're getting inspiration. You're going to leave knowing that God has a plan and purpose for your life. I feel like in today's times, society has it's like on brain, it's like on information overload.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got to do this, you got to do that. So many gurus out there, saying if you don't do this, you won't be successful, this, that, and the fourth. And you can really, for somebody who's ambitious and who really wants to be something in life, it can drive you crazy. It can
Oh
really
yeah,
drive you crazy, man, because you're like, which way do I go? And for me, man, it's just trying to remind you that, hey, you don't have to figure it out on your own. You know what I'm saying? That God already has it figured out. He already has your story written out, his plan, his purpose for your life. So that's what that's about, man. And I want to be, just another living testament, another example of that truth. When people see me, I want them to see, like, man, like Clear Lanes, like he did it. God did it through him. He can do it through me, you know?
right,
So just
exactly.
surrender yourself, man, and just trust that God got you.
Yeah, for sure. Because if you believe, I mean, especially during these times, you got to have a faith in something, and God is that something. Because these past 2 years, almost going on 3 years, I mean, you got to have your life rooted into something, and God is definitely it. I mean, he's definitely protected me and my family, and you and yours as well through COVID. And so, I mean, yeah, that's who you got to lean on, and I 100% agree with
Absolutely.
you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So the listening to your music definitely builds people up, that not tearing people down. I think the other part to kind of talk about is kind of the state of hip hop, because a lot
Mm,
of music now, which it's everybody has their own style, which I get that, I
yeah.
understand that, but at some point we got to say, okay, what is actually going to build up the community and what is going to continue to tear down the community? And a lot of times we run with that music, which just sounds good. A lot of the artists we know, and but just like you go to Jay-Z and Nas and all of them, when they grow up, they start to change their music. Like if you listen to Nas now and Nas from 15 years ago, it's gonna be different. People like, oh, I want the old Nas. And he's like, well, listen to the Clue tapes. Like I already told you that I'm
I'm not done.
upgrading it. I'm upgrading and changing. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the state of
He's
hip
in a
hop.
different space.
Yeah, exactly.
But go ahead. I'm sorry. Can you repeat your question?
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say kind of the state of hip hop, because we kind of talked about in your music how it's uplifting and encouraging and bringing them closer to the Most
Yeah.
High. And now there's a whole nother side to that too.
Yeah, man. You hit a lot of great points there. As far as where hip hop is today, man, I think, I got to be careful what I say, but I really feel like it's in a dark place. State hip
Yeah,
hop is in a dark place, man. And it all stems from the message, and what we're feeding the kids, feeding the
yeah,
youth, feeding the communities, man. I think people underestimate the true power of music, when
yeah.
words, I mean, it's powerful. Music is a
Facts.
powerful source, man. And we're
Yeah,
constantly putting out this negative energy, this dark energy into the atmosphere, and that's why we're getting what we're getting. But to answer your question, like I said, man, we're in a very dark place. Um, I feel like it's unfortunate what I'm seeing with a lot of rappers. A lot of rappers are passing away at a fairly young age.
yeah,
Um, and it's just sad to see, man. Again, I just say it just goes back to the message. And,
right.
whether you're acting or not, the more you put it out into the atmosphere, the more that becomes your reality.
Yeah,
And you can't be, shocked when, it kind of comes your direction. And it's sad to say, but that's just what it is. Because I believe in the power of words and all those things. So, but yeah, man, definitely not in a good space. And for me, I just want to come differently, man. I
yeah,
want to have a balance. We're constantly feeding the same message, and I want to come in and be like, yo, there's a flip side to this. There's a
right,
flip side, so that the kids can actually make an honest decision versus just kind of being force fed this same theme over and over and over again. So
right.
that's all.
Yeah, and you're right. We wonder, as when they get older and they continue to listen to the same music over and over again, how they gravitate to that. And I mean, I'm a prime example. It depends, whatever the mood that you're in, you're going to gravitate to that particular music. But if you have
Right,
another option, that's the part that kind of has helped change me. Is if I have another option, I know I can go to a Clear Lanes, I know I can go to a Lecrae, to get the music and the message at the same time,
right,
besides going to these some of these other rappers. And you're right, the dying so young to me is tragic, because they got their whole lives in front of them, and they end up passing away at such a young age when they have so much more to give. That's the saddest part about really all of this. is that
So much
they're
more.
losing their lives. Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
man.
go ahead.
They're losing their lives, and so many people are following that same path.
Right.
And it's like, when is it going to stop? Is it ever going to stop? Because the train just continues to keep moving forward. So I think a solution to that is, getting positive rappers, rappers with a different aspect or view on life, bringing them to the forefront. I don't really see too many in the forefront. You got your Lecrae's, you got your NFs, but after that, I mean, it's really not a lot. We kind of all look to the same guys. No disrespect on them, but the
Yeah,
message is still always the same.
you're right. You're
So
right.
we just
We
need to bring some guys with a different message. Go ahead.
definitely, yeah, we got to give people other options. And Brandon says he's literally created his own lane, hence the name. Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
100%.
You speak death; it's in the atmosphere. The enemy feeds on that. That's true. Words have power. The Bible says, "You shall have what you say." That wasn't the scriptures aren't put in there just for us to read them and then ignore them later.
Hmm.
They're in there for everyday life. The Bible is definitely history. There's history in the Bible, and there's words in the Bible for a particular reason, because I believe God knew we were going to go through this stuff throughout generations. It's not like this was just, that's why in the Bible sometimes it says generations or forever. And that
Yeah,
means literally forever. That doesn't mean just for a couple of years or during the Bible times. That means now, currently today. So, yeah,
100%. It's
yeah,
right there in the words. So,
yeah. And so, RIP to Nipsey Hussle. He was one that died. That was last year or the year before last.
19.
Recently, yep, Young Dolph, and that wasn't really the biggest fan of his music, but then I guess the part that hits me the hardest, and you can comment on this too, is that these guys have families. It's not as if they were just, I'm just a rapper on my own and I'm just talking all this and I don't have families. Like he had a wife and kids. These guys have legacy and they're
Hmm.
being killed off, which I don't know the exact reason why. I don't want to go into that, but it bounds down to jealousy. Like, oh, I
Mm.
see what this person has. So what can I do to either get this or somebody pays me to make this happen or whatever the situation is? But it's senseless. Like we talk about this all the time. Senseless deaths. That's exactly what it was. But if you want to touch on that at all.
Nah, man, you're exactly right. I think it just comes down to the lifestyle. You're kind of living two separate lives. You have this one
Yep.
lifestyle that you grew up in, right? That
Right.
since you were a kid, this is what it was, the streets, right? And then you become this super success, and now you got a different side. You get out. So it's like, okay, how can you detach yourself from your old life, your past life? And I feel like some people, some artists, it's hard for them to let go of that side, whether they feel like, oh, they don't want to, turn down on their people or whatever the case may be. But there's dangers to that. If you're not careful in how you move. Some guys, they move and they don't ever look back, and some guys, you know, they can't let go. So you just got to be mindful and wise on where you're at in life, and understanding that you're not the same person that you were, years ago. That you now have a target on your back because of your success.
Right. Right. Exactly. And I think that that also goes to kind of lying in your music. I mean, if you on Monday you rapping about this, but on Tuesday you living a completely different life, and that goes back to the machine. There is, I
Oh yeah.
100% believe there's certain artists that get pushed to the forefront. I don't know what they do. We're not gonna talk about what they do. I'm sure they
Hey,
do all stuff, but they
come
get
on.
pushed to the forefront
Yeah.
because they have either a voice or or people tell them, "Hey, you need to push this narrative," and they just basically run with it. I mean, and in particular, I'll go into this real quick. There's an artist named Ali Vegas. I used to listen to in college. He never really made it big, but he's Lamar Odom's cousin actually. But
Mm.
he said I was brought into this situation where they said, hey, if you wanna get to this next level, come over to this party. Um, yeah, definitely, Brandon. I'm not trying to get shut down tonight. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
We're
I
not
was I
gonna
was like,
yeah, we're not gonna go
like
all the way into the details on that. Yeah, I'm not
100.
getting yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
you telling the truth.
But anyway, so he goes to this party and like, yeah, you're gonna have to do some stuff when you come in this room. And he was like, well, no, I'm not about that. He was like, well, I guess you don't want the deal. and he's never gotten a deal because he didn't go in and do whatever these things are. So anyway, let's get back to Clear Lanes.
Hmm.
What are some of your plans for this year? I know you got the Black History single. What's
Hmm.
coming up? Also, touch on the microphone boulevards that you've been
Hmm.
doing as well. Those have been dope. So touch on those two
Thank you.
things and what you got coming up this year.
Yeah, well, this year, man, it's all about elevation, just continuing to grow. My goal is to connect with the people, man, get in front of the people. These past few years, me and my team, shout out to my label, Worldwide Exclusive Entertainment. We just been growing, we've been building the brand, building my skills, building my music up, my catalog, and now we're at a point now where it's like, okay, it's time for that big push, and really just trying to get out to the public. So for me, obviously, to continue to do the single route, more music, album coming soon, and just getting on the road too. I want to be able to hit big cities, and just putting myself out there. So yeah, man, just elevating and just trying to, take things to the next level.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
hmm and
And then talk
Michael,
about the yeah. Go ahead.
so what do you want to know as far as just like the startup behind that or what?
Yeah, yeah. The startup. Is that something that other artists do? Because when I'm watching, I'm like, oh, this must be something that other artists do, or is this just a Clear Lanes thing?
No, it's not. It's not a clear lanes thing. A lot of artists you see out there, they kind of have their own little setup. That's kind of been the new wave now. Artists will set up anywhere, set their microphone up, do
Mhm.
live performances and stuff like that. So that's been an ongoing thing. So me and my team, we decided we were going to take our own little spin on it and do one ourselves. So that's what we do, man. We pull up anywhere, man. Whatever track that I got, I'm like, yo, we need to get this on film. Me and my partner, we just go out and have fun and shoot, man. So. I'm glad you enjoyed it though. But y'all go check that out.
Definitely, definitely. And make sure to follow Clear Lanes, all avenues of social media. Also has a link to his website in the
Yeah.
bio of the social media. But yeah, there was one you were at a storage. Looked like you were
Mm-hmm.
at a storage facility. Another one
Mm-hmm.
you had the freeway. I think that was 635. I think behind you.
Yep.
I mean, so yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I'm
No.
I'm amazed at your creativity because a lot of artists will just be like, I'm just gonna stick. I'm just gonna continue to do what I've been doing, but you gotta be outside of the box to get that massive attention. So I respect you.
100%, man. You gotta think outside the box, and you know, obviously, there's a lot of spots in Dallas, and we just pull up. We like, yo, this right here, like this is where we're gonna shoot it at. So, I mean, it just kind of happens just in the center of the moment, just the creativity, man. So, but yeah, expect a lot more microphone boulevards in the future for sure. We definitely gonna hit that hard and just keep coming with the content, with the videos, with the music, everything.
Definitely, definitely. I'm looking forward to it. 100% looking forward to it. All right, what are some? We talked about some influences. What are some
Hmm.
dream collaborations? And we'll go artist and producer. As many
Okay.
as many as you have.
Okay. Well, we start with artists. I think let's go with the Mount Rushmores of this time. Kendrick and J. Cole. You can't go wrong with them, right? So those will
Exactly.
probably be my dream artists. I think producers. There's a few industry producers that I like. Their styles, I think, it will kind of fit with me. I like Hit Boy, of course. Um, John One or Jake One, excuse me. Him, I like his style. I feel like he would really, treat my voice well. And there's one more. No, it's two more. Of course, Dr. Dre. Come on now, Dr.
Obviously,
Dre.
obviously, man.
Obviously, yeah. Just
Yeah.
being in the studio with him on the West Coast, man. Pull up Snoop Dogg. I mean, hey, that'd be a dope experience, man. Just be
Oh
like,
yeah.
man, like I can't, like I started in my room and now I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. Exactly.
so him for
Exactly.
sure. And man, there was one more. Oh, Mustard DJ. I think
DJ
it's
Mustard.
yeah,
Yeah.
DJ Mustard. Him.
West Coast. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I like the West Coast, man. That's what I like. So, but yeah, those are just a few that I would love to connect with.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Shout out to Facebook user. They say, hey, Ben, thank you for tuning in. Make sure to check out the new single, Black History by Clear Lanes on all platforms. Also follow him on social media, Clear Lanes. If you're tuning in on the Facebook group, you do have to click a particular link so I can see who you are, but I appreciate all the comments. And yeah, let's brag on Hit Boy for a minute. This dude is like the new. I'm not even gonna say he's the new
Mm,
something. He is his own thing. The fact that you've made 3 albums with Nas, it to me blows my mind. And none of his beats sound alike. You can't if he
at
doesn't
all.
put that Hit Boy tag at the beginning, you
Hmm.
wouldn't even know who it was, just because the dude is
He's just so
massively creative.
he's so diverse, man, and I feel like him and Nas, it was just like a perfect marriage. I mean, because you got
Exactly.
Nas, who's an old school rapper and who's been doing this for years, for decades, and for him to be able to connect with Hit Boy, I feel like it was just a perfect blend because Hit Boy is bringing that new wave, that new sound to Nas, and
Exactly.
Nas is still able to still be himself, you know.
Right.
So
Yep.
again, I just
Exactly.
think it's just a great blend, and that's why they've been creating phenomenal projects together.
Yeah. And he's worked with Benny the Butcher. He did a full album with him. And the fact he does
Mm,
full albums, like you don't see that anymore. You see an artist that may have 15 different producers, but Hit Boy's
yeah,
like, nah, I'm about to give you 15 beats and you just do whatever you do with it. Like that's to me,
man.
that's real hip hop right
Man, hey, Hit Boy, man, give me a beat pack, man. You send me a
there.
beat pack, man. Oh man, that's a Christmas gift right there, man. I would go
Exactly.
in. So I would love to just hear myself because I know being that, the level of producer that he is, it would just bring the best out of me.
Exactly.
So
All
I would
right.
definitely love
100%.
to, yeah, for sure.
100% agree. Now, let me, you kind of brought up Dr. Dre. We're going to
Hmm.
kind of go into this topic about the Super Bowl, which I don't know if
Yeah.
you've seen the Super Bowl halftime show, but give me your
Hmm.
thoughts on it. People give them mixed reviews. Give me your thoughts on it, then I'll give you mine.
I think, well, for me personally, being that I grew up with that type of music, that 2000s era, 2010s era, and obviously going back to the 90s with Dre and them, I enjoyed it. It was a flashback, man. It just took me back to just a simpler time in life, man.
Yeah,
Where music, you could just feel the soul and just like, I mean, yeah, I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed the whole show. But I think it depends on what generation you're coming from. I feel like the current
yeah,
like the Zers, it may not hit them as hard, but the millennials, the X's, I feel like, yeah, like it was definitely a treat, and it was good to see that with the Super Bowl because that was the first time like a full hip hop,
exactly.
Super Bowl halftime show. So yes, I enjoyed
Crip,
it.
Crip walking at the Super Bowl. Well,
Come
I
on,
would have
man. Only,
never
only,
imagined.
hey, only Snoop
Only
Dogg can pull something off
you
like
can
that.
only do that in LA. You couldn't do that in New
Mm,
York. You couldn't do that anywhere else. It was a
yup.
perfect marriage. When I heard Dr. Dre was hosting it, I was like, it's that's perfect. I mean, the
Yeah.
only other West Coast you could have, the only thing I would have wanted is if Ice Cube could have came, but I get it. The dude, I mean, you only got so much. You only got like 15 minutes. I don't even think it's
Yeah.
that long. So
Who
the fact
impressed
that
you the
he,
most? Not to cut you off, but
oh,
who?
no, no problem, no problem. Kendrick, man,
Kendrick.
we've been waiting on Kendrick. So the
Hey, we've
fact
been
that
waiting.
I mean, he only gave us whatever the minutes, 3 minutes or whatever, but it was legendary. That to me was great. Um, Seeing 50 Cent hanging upside down, it was extremely comical because you rewind back, he looked
Yeah,
completely different. But look, hey, the dude been eating, he been making some of that power money. So
man.
he probably been eating a lot of good food, not doing a lot of working out. So hey, I'm chubby myself. So all power to the chubby boys. I wouldn't be hanging upside down. No, I definitely wouldn't be doing that. But
Yeah, he was definitely
yeah,
a surprise for sure. So
it was legendary. I'm not gonna say it's top five. I'm not gonna put it in anything, but for me and for hip hop heads, it was legendary. I would have watched another 15, 20 minutes if they would have had that time. And then Anderson Pack. I don't know if you're an Anderson Pack fan.
I
Him
know who
being
that
on the
is.
drums, that part was even. And people were like, oh, I wanted him to say something. Like they only got 13 minutes. They got to squeeze in the fact that they had Eminem there. They're gonna have to squeeze in minutes for him. Gonna have to squeeze in minutes for Dre, and Dre doing his thing. Dre is kind of the mastermind behind all of these artists because
Yeah,
people don't realize that Mary J. Blige was on Aftermath, I believe, at one point. Obviously, Eminem, all those people he made and found, and it was his beats that made them to kind of who they are. So besides Mary J. Blige, he didn't necessarily find him, but he did kind of revamp her career in the 2000s. So yeah, Dre is legendary. That was one of the best I've
yes.
seen.
Yeah, it definitely was, man. It was just like the whole setup, man, was just super creative, man. Just the way that they did it, just like bam here, take you back to this time. Like it was like a type of like, man, I remember where I was when this song came out, when this song came out.
Exactly.
It was just a nice blast from the past, man. It really was.
Exactly. Now the next, I don't know when they're having the next Super Bowl, but if they happen to have it in New York, that means you got to bring out all the New York legends. I mean, we need
Got
Jay
to.
Z, Nas. We need the whole thing now. I don't know if it's coming to New York or not, but the way they did it, they set a precedent, and this is impact of Jay Z. People forget, people clown Jay Z for being involved with the NFL. This was his impact. There was no
Mhm.
possible way if Jay Z wasn't involved that they would have had this go down, because then they would have had some
100%.
lame. They would have had Bruno Mars, which all respect to him, but they would have had some lame show that we would have been like, oh, that was okay. And I think it does again go back to the generation, because I put on Facebook this was fire, and people was like, oh, I didn't really like it, and they didn't like it because they're older and because they could
Mm,
not, and some of them could not relate to rap. I'm gonna
hmm.
leave it at that. You can probably picture in your mind
Yeah.
that they were older
Yeah. Well,
people
I
and they
got
could
you.
they couldn't understand it. But I'm like, this is our time. Like this, and it's perfect for LA. So it was
Yeah.
legendary.
That was a whole new experience for the world because, again, the Super Bowl is a global event, right? So, I mean,
Right,
like hearing that type of music on that platform at that level, I mean, it never happened before. It was new.
right.
So that's probably the reason why you got the responses that you got. I just wasn't used
Yeah,
to it. But we
yeah.
we loved it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Man, we loved it,
And,
man.
and then this was the same week or weekend that Snoop bought Death Row, which, man,
Yeah,
full, you talk about full circle. He was on Death Row, obviously. That classic picture of him, Tupac, and Suge, and I think Dre was in that. Them all wearing the black turtlenecks and all that. That was clean. But that again was a perfect marriage and a perfect weekend. And Snoop is a smart businessman. If people think of him for his rap, but the dude acts. He comes out with multiple albums. He has people, I believe, that he's either producing or on his label or whatever that may be. But the guy's making real money, and to buy Death Row, that just tells you that he's even more. He got more money than what we thought. Because I didn't see that coming. But I'm looking
Snoop
forward to seeing what he's going to do with it.
Snoop does everything, man. I've seen him on video games. I've seen him in Spanish music videos. Like it's like, man, Snoop here. I've seen him in cartoons. I'm like,
Yeah,
dude is everywhere, man. He is just a master at marketing himself,
exactly.
and that's why he's just so well loved.
The only dude that can smoke weed anywhere.
Man, I'm
That is
telling
the
you,
only dude. He had an interview where he said you wouldn't believe where I smoked weed. And it was like, where? It was like the White House. And it was like, nah, you joking. He was like, hey, I'll tell you the story, but it's gonna be off air. And I mean, I believe him. I mean, he did it at the Super Bowl. They had a video of
man.
him taking
Yeah, I
a
saw
quick
that.
puff. So I
I
mean,
saw
yeah,
that.
Snoop is legendary, one of those guys.
Yeah, he definitely is, and I think it's phenomenal how he got Death Row, man. Talk about a new artist now getting signed to Death Row. I mean, that
Really,
gosh, talk about an experience, you
really,
know, being like, man,
really.
like I'm under the same label as Tupac, Dre, Snoop, all those guys who followed that was underneath that umbrella, man. So yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah. And we gotta give Suge his props, because without Suge,
Yeah,
I mean, Suge's done a lot, getting people off of record deals, bringing people to death row, and he's got some negative sides to him too. If you've seen
yeah.
um, Straight Outta Compton,
Hmm.
but also he did a lot. Did a lot for West Coast rap. Period. So shout out to Suge.
What do you think about like the continual narrative that they keep just it never ends, man. It's like an ongoing thing with that whole East Coast, West Coast, Biggie, Tupac. Like it's like we're what 20, 25 years removed now from that whole thing.
96.
Yeah, and it's like it's still going. People are still coming out talking about it. I mean, what do you think about it? Just it's like it never ends, man. They never
Yeah,
let it go.
it will forever go on until we have somebody that is in jail for those killings, which I'm sure it'll never happen. I think it'll just go on forever, because again, it goes back to what we talked about earlier. They were gone so early.
Hmm.
Like Tupac still had music coming out, Biggie still had music coming out. And even Biggie's last album talking about after death, and he was, I mean, you're nobody till somebody kills you. He was basically talking about his demise, and then it happened. I mean, so
Literally days later, like it's
literally,
crazy.
that is the wildest. So I mean, I don't think it'll ever go away. I just think it will continue to evolve because as new generations come along and they learn who Tupac and Biggie is, and they start to figure out, like, oh, what happened to him, and they start to
Hmm.
dive deep into it. Then they're going to ask their parents, and at some point, when I'm a grandparent, my grandchildren will be like, "Hey, who were these guys?" And so it's just going to continue to go along because they're legendary. Let's get to a couple comments.
Yeah, they definitely are. Let's do
It's
it.
more about Biggie and Tupac than the actual beef. You're right. Now that beef kind of evolved into a lot. The guys who killed them both dead. Yeah, it evolved into a lot because obviously you had the East Coast, which was Mob Deep at the time. Nas, which he talked about it on King's Disease 2. He was going to link back up with Tupac. It never happened. In the whole West Coast, I mean, there's been more people talking about it. And that's another reason why it's going to continue to evolve is because people are continuing to tell new stories that we didn't know. And it's
Hmm.
like this thing is never, it's never going to go away. Which I don't think it's a bad thing because that keeps their names alive because they still need to be known to
Yeah.
the younger rappers and younger generation.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. And there's like a YouTube channel out there that, like you said, guys from 2015, whatever so years coming back out and speaking on the situation, just coming up with stories. And it's so many different sides, man. You
Yeah,
got this side, you got that side, you got the truth. I don't think we'll ever
exactly.
really just
We-
know
We'll
the
never
the,
really know.
the pit bottom, real raw, what really happened. Only those who lived in that time really know what actually went on and whether or not, they're going to twist it and, to where, favors their side. Who knows, man. At the end of the day,
Yeah,
we understand the money is going, the money is flowing because it's a great story. It's a great,
right.
it's an intriguing story, and I'm still
And
tuning in.
yeah, exactly. Brandon said Art of Dialogue and DJ Vlad both on it.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna I wasn't gonna give him no love on your platform, but yeah, he's right though.
Yeah, all right. He said I watch them every day. And DJ Vlad sometimes he be a little suspect sometimes. He be kind of throw people
Mm.
under the bus and he'd be like, oh well, I'm sorry about that after the fact. But anyway,
Yeah,
he,
you just got to be
they,
careful what you say on there. You know,
yeah, because
that that's
he
what
is
I've done.
he's a marketing genius for chopping it up, and he'll put that one clip of you saying either something controversial, and then he'll post that, or his team posts it, or whatever.
Oh
But
yeah, he's the king of
yeah,
sound bites for sure.
exactly, exactly. But definitely with Tupac and Biggie, one other thing I was going to touch on too is that whoever owns the real thing is whoever owns their masters, which hopefully it's somebody in their family, but whoever owns that is
Hmm.
also excited that this narrative is these stories are continuing to be pushed because then they're going to keep downloading their music. And to me, that's the bigger story of these artists when they pass. Who owns that music? Because it
Yeah.
may or may not be them, which means the money is like you said, the money's flowing to whoever's pockets, which may or may not be their families too.
Oh yeah, it's flowing to them, or who, like you said, whoever owns the music, and it's also flowing to the people who are coming out and speaking on the stories. I mean,
Right.
those guys, those interviews that you're seeing on, online and stuff like that, like they ain't doing that for free. Them dudes is getting paid, you
Yeah.
know. So I think the reason why a lot of people are coming out now is because, just a few years ago it was still somewhat fresh. If you go back 10, 15 years ago, it was still fresh and people didn't want to open up that can. Where I feel as now, people are passing away or in jail or kind of moving on with their lives and not as powerful as they once were. I think people are starting to get comfortable. I'm just gonna say what I saw.
Right.
I'm not gonna hold my tongue any longer. And that's what you're starting to see now with this
Right.
whole narrative.
Right. Exactly. And I can go back to when it happened. We were in high school reading the Source magazine, and the Source literally had a four or 5 page article about is Tupac dead? I
Mm,
mean, this was like months later, and we're all not paying attention in class, reading a source magazine. So I mean, back then that was going on. I mean, I don't look too much deep into it, but I can't even imagine some of the stuff that's out there, all the conspiracy theories and all of that
So
stuff,
many,
which is that's
so
a
many,
rabbit
man.
hole. That's a
And
rabbit
I
hole.
feel like the media loves that, because
Oh
it
yeah.
can keeps it going, continue to make money, continue to push this story. So I mean, hey,
If it sells, it will continue to move.
100%.
All right. So you and Brandon have the podcast. We've already mentioned it multiple times. Me and Your Lane
Hmm.
podcast. How did that get started?
Man, well, it started from me and Brandon's relationship. We knew of each other growing up. We knew of each other, but we didn't know each other. And this
Yeah.
is through basketball. Until years down, we finally, became friends, and we just grew our relationship, man. And long story short, it just kind of, just dawned on me, man. We always had these intense conversations just about life, politics, culture, faith.
Yeah.
And it just kind of sprung on me. I was just like, man, like, bro, why don't we just let's bring it to the people? Like, we both love to talk. We both have a lot to say. Like, let's do this. Let's give this a shot. Might as well, like, let's start building on other things other than our main things, him, basketball, me, music. Like, let's create a different path for ourselves. So it's been a great experience, man. We started last year. Probably we're coming up on a year now. So
Yeah.
we've had a lot of phenomenal guests on the show. We've been able to travel, went out to Miami, got to connect and network out there. So that was a dope experience. So yeah, man, it's been a great experience, and just continuing to grow, continuing to sharpen our tools, man, and just looking forward to what else God has in store for us.
Yeah, definitely a lot of great episodes. They went to Miami. Got a lot of good footage there, interviewing a club owner, which is a friend of yours,
Yes.
I believe. Also got I'm a North Carolina fan, so the fact that y'all
Hmm.
interviewed Rashad McCants to me was like I went back and just watched it on my own just because man, in North Carolina those days, dude was legendary. And a lot of other great episodes and podcasts interviewing great people. Quincy AC. So make sure to go to YouTube, Be in Your Lane podcast. Also, it is on BS3 TV, so you can find the episodes there. Continuing to partner together, releasing new episodes, and yeah, man, you guys definitely have something, and the connections too. That helps with bringing all types of guests on and being creative. So I'm excited for definitely what's to come.
Yeah.
2022. Now, you said you guys met, playing basketball. So
Hmm.
on the spot question: who would win in a one on one? You or Brandon?
Right now, probably Brandon. I mean, he been playing. I quit. I stopped playing a long time ago, so he better win.
we
Shoot,
may we
I
may
had,
have,
but you got to give me a few weeks, man. Maybe even a month to get my legs underneath me to be able to compete at the pro level, with him and everybody else. So yeah, so I quit. I retired a long time ago.
yeah, yeah. All right. I wanted to ask you that kind of on the spot.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, talk about the shirt that you got on right now. I know it's a slam. Is that
Yeah, man. Allen Iverson,
AI
rookie
on there?
year. Yeah.
Legendary,
Hmm.
man.
Yeah,
He said
legendary for sure.
Brandon
Definitely a
Clowney
player
on
that I
here.
look. How would he say?
He said third grade. He had me third grade. Okay, we're going way back, way
He
back.
going way back. But
But yeah, go ahead. You were saying you were talking about AI.
nah, man, yeah, Allen Iverson, he was just one of my favorite players growing up as well too. Him, Kobe, Tracy McGrady, I came from that era, so just looked up to him. Little man, just being able to dominate a big man sport. So thought it was a dope shirt, so I had to
Yeah,
rock it.
definitely. The shoes people forget AI impacted. He combined hip hop and NBA together. I mean, just the impact of the clothes he wore, and then they had to change the dress code, and then also the impact of him rapping himself. When you had rapping ballers, I mean that, and then Kobe kind of did his thing, and different rappers get into it. But yeah, the impact of AI is definitely legendary. And I was a big Jordan fan, so the fact
Hmm.
he crossed over Jordan, Like
Mm.
that will forever be in my head, just because at that point people were like, "Oh, Jordan's untouchable." It was like, "Oh, this kid from Georgetown just crosses up Jordan." Like that should always be in people's minds, just because he was the really the first one to do it on a main stage.
Oh, 100%. I think Allen Iverson, he just came in, he just took the world by storm.
Exactly.
People weren't used to that, the look, the way he played the game. I mean, it was just new, it was fresh. And, anytime you're new at something, it's hard for people to receive it, at first. But he was definitely a trendsetter, man. I think that's where, I mean, phenomenal player, phenomenal talent, one of my favorite players of all time. But I think his biggest impact was just on the culture itself.
Yeah,
And he just shifted it, man.
definitely.
He just changed the whole view of the NBA.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And
now
now
people
seeing these
can, yeah,
guys, yeah, now seeing these guys older, they had the NBA 75. I mean, now it's like, seeing these guys older and how they're like Jordan. He was running around hugging people. I don't know if you've seen that clip. He run around hugging
I
Luca,
saw
and
that.
then the
Yeah.
same thing to somebody else. But just to see the guys' excitement for the younger guys, to me, is also impactful, because the new generation of the NBA.
100%. So what is your thoughts, man, on that whole MJ LeBron debate? You're an older guy. I would assume you still
MJ,
rocking
man.
with Jay. Yeah. Okay.
MJ all day. Now,
Mm-hmm.
LeBron still got a couple years left, possibly, but I
Mm-hmm.
just think the ability, and he didn't. He had Pippen, obviously. He had Rodman. We can talk about the super teams and the stuff like that, but I
Mm-hmm.
think I just got to put Jordan there. Just the amount of times he won the championships, uh, 6 to LeBron's. I think it's 4 now with the one he won with LA. But I
Mm-hmm.
definitely think they're close. And people, we forget about Kobe. Kobe is definitely number 2. So it's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's Jordan, Kobe, and Bron, and that's not a bad thing. People are like, oh, it means you don't like LeBron. No, I like LeBron, and
Yeah.
I think LeBron's goal is to play with his son, however long that takes. So if it
Mm-hmm.
takes his son another 3 years or whatever, I think his son's probably a junior or a senior at this point.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron still got room to put some more trophies up.
Oh yeah.
Um,
The way he
yeah,
treats his body, man, and take care of himself, he's definitely, if anybody can do it, he can do it. And if he does it, playing with your son in the NBA after all he's accomplished, I mean,
for
talk
real,
about a way to just finish off the story, man. I mean,
exactly.
incredible.
That the only time I've seen that was Ken Griffey Jr. and his dad. They both play on the Mariners. This was way back in the day. So it can definitely happen. And LeBron is a player GM. I don't care what people say. People say, "Oh, he's not." He is making more decisions than people think. And again, his basketball his IQ is a lot higher than a lot of guys. So they're going to trust him. Plus, it's LeBron. You're not going to say, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
LeBron, we're not going to sign that guy." It's like, nah, either you sign this guy, or it's going to be a problem for you.
Mm-hmm.
And multiple coaches have been let go. But that's going to be a forever debate too, especially when he's done playing, because then you can say, okay, here, let's match up the numbers to this, and who do you compare here? But for me, um, yeah, I gotta definitely go NJ. So based on what you're saying, is it LeBron for you number one?
No, I'm with you. I'm going
Okay,
MJ. He's still
okay,
my goat for me. I'm real big on that whole ring thing, man. 6-0. I mean, that's tough.
yeah.
That's tough. I
And
mean,
the
so
dude
that's.
helped. The last, I don't mean to cut you off, but the Last Dance,
Mhm.
I would highly recommend people watch that, because Jordan still has grudges to this day. That is the difference. LeBron, I think, is not going to hold a grudge. I don't know if he had. LeBron was the seventh man on the bench. Jordan was like, okay, you stepping in the game, and you said something about me 3 years ago. Okay, I'm about to score 50 on
Mm,
you. And he just had that killer mentality. And that's the same thing with Kobe. Kobe didn't care. Kobe was fighting teammates. I mean, he didn't care. The same thing like what Jordan did. And so that to me, that killer instinct, that I really don't care what happens. I don't care who you are. I'm gonna drop 50 on you, and I'm gonna do it. Even in this past All-Star game, he was talking about playing Magic on one-on-one. Like the dude, his competitive drive is
that
really
that
out
killer
of this world.
mentality, that killer instinct never leaves. No matter how
No,
old you get. I
exactly.
remember in his Hall of Fame speech, he was talking about he'll still come back to the NBA. So it never leaves. I mean, and it's not surprising. I mean, he's the greatest of all time. So I mean, would you
Yeah,
expect anything different?
exactly, exactly. Brandon said Bron had 42 trades made for him in a 3 to 4
Yeah.
year period. Yeah, he been player GM. People like hard to compare errors. Hard, it
Oh
is.
man.
That's the thing
Yeah.
about this whole conversation is because people say, "Oh, what about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?" And my argument is, I don't really know that much about him. I know he's the all-time leading scorer, which LeBron's probably going to pass that up in a minute too.
Why do
But
people doesn't like it? Don't you question why people just like I don't want to say brush him under the rug when it comes to that top two, top three, but it's just like, oh yeah, and there's Kareem. Like it's
it's an
Kobe,
afterthought,
it's Kobe, LeBron, Jordan. It's like an afterthought. Yeah, and
right?
it's like, dude, like look at his resume. Six
Exactly.
rings. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I mean, he stacks up
We
right there, all-time leading
right,
scorer. I mean,
exactly.
and I think it just kind of comes down to popularity. I think that plays a part as well,
Oh yeah,
and how much of an impact you made on the culture.
exactly. It's
And
it's the impact of the of
in the
what all
time,
you
yeah,
did. Like Kareem was great, but I don't remember
statistically,
Kareem having a
yes,
shoe. I don't. There's not a whole bunch of people rocking Kareem jerseys. Now
right,
maybe they are. They just don't wear them outside. I don't know, but there's people rocking Jordans forever. That's gonna be the ultimate shoe forever.
yeah,
LeBron. So I mean, it definitely has a lot to do with era because people say Bill Russell, which
hmm
that's beyond that. That's before my time. But that guy has 11 championships. So I mean,
yeah.
like, if you want to go championships, obviously you can go a different way. But I've always been the person to say it's based on the era. So whatever era you grew up in, your list is gonna be different than mine's. And I come, that's kind of just it is what it is.
I agree, 100%. It's all about the era that you came up in, and you're going to develop your own opinion, based off your time
Right. Right.
and your era of basketball that you watched.
Yeah. And Brandon says Jordan told Magic to check up. Yeah, he was like, "Come on, put your shoes on. We can do it right
hmm
now." I got on some loafers. I mean, Jordan
hmm
again, man, he was, and still to this day, he still got beef. I've been hearing this forever. Beef with Barkley because of what he said about when it was the Charlotte Bobcats. He still got beef with Isaiah Thomas. Like, and these dudes is old at this point. These dudes is almost 60 and they still can't shake each other's hands. That just, but you can't expect anything different from him. He's
You
that's
can't,
who he
man.
is.
You really can't, man. That's just the mindset.
Yeah,
Straight competition mode, competitor,
definitely,
and that's what
definitely.
made them great. That's what made them
Yeah,
great.
that's exactly that's the point, and that's again goes back to the Last Dance. I mean, that showed you why he was who he was, and that's definitely what made him great. And he impacted the players on the team. Scotty wouldn't be Scotty without Jordan. Okay, I mean, if you've seen Scotty on other teams and you've seen that there wasn't a championship team just because Scotty was on it, but they were a perfect pair. So that's a whole nother conversation. Scotty just shooting shots at Jordan, but you see, he wasn't at that NBA 75 thing. He probably didn't want that because Jordan probably would have gave him them hands. You
Man,
would have
it's
seen him.
crazy. It just amazes me just on like how much that they've accomplished together and how
Yep.
much of a clash they still have to this day. It just
Yeah.
like, I mean, arguably the greatest duo ever,
Oh yeah.
and they're still like they don't want to see each other. They still got bad blood. So, but it's that's how it goes, man. You you got to be cool with a person, on the court. Y'all got to play together, but off the court, y'all could, have a super beef,
Yeah.
But as long as you producing, nobody cares.
Yeah. Exactly. And that goes back to the different era because I mean, these dudes had grudges. Now you go from team to team. The team that beat you last year, you go play for them. Like there is some there, but not like it was. That's why you had players on the team for their whole career because they wouldn't dare. Jordan wouldn't dare go to the Celtics or
Mm-hmm.
dare go to the Pistons. He wouldn't. Nah, he would probably retire before doing that. So that that goes back to that too.
Yeah, I just think, talking about that, I mean, as far as LeBron doing it and MJ not doing it, or vice versa, it just goes back to the times. Players just didn't have the power that they have today, and I
Oh
think
yeah, right.
when LeBron and those boys did that, it was uncommon. It was like, huh, what are you doing? They were doing the same thing the organizations were doing. They were putting the team together. They were just doing it.
Right, right.
But because they're doing it, it's not okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
It's
it is what it is.
the players have the
Yeah,
power at this point.
the
You
players
don't
have the
know
power.
who, yeah, you don't know who the GMs are. That's like, going back to Last Dance. The GM was all on there just talking about what we are and aren't going to do. And players have the power. I respect that too. I mean, like, if
Hmm.
this you're the ones making the money, they're not coming to see the GM. They're not coming to see the owner. They're coming to
Right.
see you. So
They're
whatever
coming to see
demands
you.
you have, and people don't like James Harden. Like, hey, James has gotten out of two different teams. I don't, and they had this image of him taking off the
Man,
fat suit. Uh,
yo,
uh,
I ain't seen that. Like, he was like, I'm out of Houston. Bam, he out of Houston. I went out of Brooklyn. Bam, I'm out of Brooklyn. Like, it's like, what? Like, you
eh,
you
yeah,
got
and
that type of pull?
he ain't even say anything too. He had his people. I guess he had his people or his agent. Because
Yeah.
I never heard him say, "I want out of any of these places." But the dude knows how to
He put that
finagle.
energy out there though, for
Exactly.
sure. He put the
He
energy out. He didn't say it, but I wish I wish he would have gave the Nets situation just a little bit more time.
yeah, yeah,
It's unfortunate, KD going down at the time that he did, and Kyrie obviously doing what he do. I wish he'd have gave that a little bit more time just to kind of see that, because we never really got to see that whole big
right.
three just really flourish and really just, you know, play at the level that, we know that they can. So, but hey, it just wasn't meant to be. Because he was just ready to go, and now
Yeah,
now he's in Philly. So curious to see how that situation plays out.
yeah, I agree. And I mean, I didn't see him. I didn't see him leaving Brooklyn. I mean, I thought that was a good situation. They only played what 14, 12, or 14 games together.
Hmm.
So you had to have gave that more time because that would have been definitely one of the championship run. All three of them healthy. I mean,
Hmm.
in the bench that they had, but you know,
You never know, man. I
is
mean,
what
it
it
could
is.
have it could have been locker room battles. Who knows? I mean,
Yeah,
that's three
could have been
alpha
some beef,
males right
man.
there. That's three
Oh yeah,
big egos because of just of their their superstar capability, man. So you never know what those conversations were, in practice, behind closed doors, and maybe they just didn't see eye to eye. It was like, what, we just go ahead and go our separate ways. So, but
yeah,
who knows? Only they know.
right, right. A couple of comments here. Brandon says Jordan never asked for players' respect. No, never. He would never do that.
Hmm.
Having been an intern for the Rockets, I'm not surprised he wanted to go to Philly. He wanted to go there during that whole situation. So I'm not surprised that either. And Daryl Morey is there, which was his former GM. So I don't know if that has something to do with it.
I heard, and I'm glad Brandon mentioned that, because I heard, like, in Houston, man, James was able to do whatever he wanted to do. Like, it was the team rules, and you had the James Harden rules.
I'm not surprised, man.
I mean, there he was. I mean, but what do you expect, man? Superstar player like James. I mean,
Yeah,
in a city like Houston, I mean, he was just able to. That's what you get. So yeah,
yeah,
the Philly thing, it makes sense. It makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. Harden didn't say anything. He just put on that fat suit. Yeah, this dude must have. He got the fat suit in the closet. So if it don't work out in Philly, you can pull that fat suit out. That
Bro,
dude, he must be on that Nutty Professor drink where you just drink it and
yeah,
the fat all soak away. I don't know what kind of diet plan he on, but hey man, the dude finagled his place out of two NBA organizations, and the
yeah,
teams did it. Obviously,
they
they
did
got
it. Yeah,
something back. Houston got a ton in that trade, and then Brooklyn got Ben Simmons. So we'll see what happens. This the rest of the season gonna be interesting.
and it goes
Um,
back to that power shift that happened back, when LeBron did it, man. I mean, would James be able to do something like this, again back in Jordan era, or before LeBron? No,
yeah,
So it's a cool thing to see, but then at the same time, you gotta be like, it makes you kind of think like, all right. really, like just what we doing, So
Yeah,
I just think it needs to be a healthy balance between, you know, the front office and the players, and who wants to do what, so it can suit both sides. But are you curious? Like, are you one of those guys as far as with James Harden? Like, if it doesn't work in Philly, like his legacy is tarnished, or because I know that's been a big running theme as of recently, in the media.
yeah. I mean, I think his even in Houston, he really couldn't win playoff games, no matter what combo of people that he had. So I think his legacy is. I don't think it's tarnished. I think it is what it's really been.
Hmm.
Hasn't won a play. Hasn't won anything major. I think he's one of the best scorers probably of all time. I don't think that'll change at all. But he's definitely. I wouldn't say he's in the top 75. I mean, of all time, when you look at all the different players, but he's dominant. So no, I don't think it's tarnished. I think what can help him is if he win a championship in Philly, I think that can help his reputation. But I don't think it necessarily tarnishes it now.
Hmm. Maybe tarnish was a strong word. I think just that next level that
Yeah,
we
yeah,
wanted him or want him to achieve,
to be
will
yeah,
no longer, that door is closed
yeah.
after Philly if he
After
can't get
Philly,
it done.
I agree. I do agree with that. Brandon says Harden left because of Kyrie's situation, which is
Yeah.
ironic. If the mandate in New York City gets lifted, I definitely think they got tired of that, and
Hmm.
Harden probably got more tired of it than KD did. But really, when it comes down to it, that wasn't they didn't envision that being the situation. So
Mm-mm.
when it came up, I think Harden was like, "Nah, I don't. I'm not dealing with this any longer." And that's
Yeah.
if it wasn't COVID and if it wasn't mandates, maybe they would have still been together.
Yeah, I think a lot of situations out of their control came up, that kind of changed the situation, and made it, what, this isn't the best place for me. So yeah, definitely, had COVID not happened, who knows? And all the things, the bubble and Kyrie, missing games and all that stuff. If that stuff didn't happen, James Harden could very well still be in Brooklyn. So
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely think that played a huge part, the mandate for sure.
Brandon says he literally did whatever in capital letters he wanted. Yeah, I didn't know it was that drastic. So I mean, it was bad for the
Hmm.
culture then. And then John Wall was there, and he was like, "Hey, man, we all showing up to practice. You're not even here."
You're talking about
It,
Houston?
Houston, yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
it had to happen. The next CBA will come down hard on players. Him, Ben, Zion, Kawhi. Player empowerment will be dead soon. Uh,
Mm. Who
this
said
CBA
that?
major that was Brandon.
That's that's an
I didn't
interesting
know.
statement.
I didn't know it was the CBA is going to be that serious. And obviously, the players are losing. I mean, the owners are losing out,
Yeah.
and the owners can control the narrative because obviously they're paying the commissioner's pockets. Now, I don't know if it's going to be. I think they already came to this agreement, so I guess we'll
Hmm.
see what happens. I mean, the money's been flowing though, so as long as they've been holding on to it, saving their money and managing it properly, they should probably still be good.
It's all about the bottom line at the end of the day. So if the money is continuing to accumulate, keeping the owners fat and happy, everybody's getting paid, then I think it's all good. But that is a good point that he made, though, because players are starting to have a little bit, maybe too much control,
Yeah.
in dictating on where they want to play and where they want to go. The owners may be like, it's time to kind of reel that back in a little bit, bring the ball back in our court, power back in our court, just to show them like, hey, you know, we run this. So, slaves types mentality, whatever you want to call it, we know it exists.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Brandon says he's 275. Maybe he's talking about top. He's top 75. This won't be regarded too high because he failed with so much talent. Yeah,
Who?
uh,
James?
yeah. James Harden.
Mm,
I don't know. That's a hard list because we talking about 70. They're talking about 75 of all time.
yeah.
There's a lot of players that we don't really remember, but they're still up there.
What do you
Uh,
think about, like, former players holding their spots.
Holding their spots on the top 75.
Yeah, like okay, the guys that were top 50 will get
Mm,
automatic spots in the top 75. You know,
yeah,
that's a 20-year gap because that list, that top 50 list was what, 99, 2000, I
yeah, that was
think.
a minute. Yeah, that was
It
a
was a
minute.
minute ago. So, I mean, what do you think about, them holding their spots and not taking away spots or potential possible spots for, current players between then and now?
Yeah, I think it's going to evolve, but I'm a
Yeah,
stats guy. So if the stats add up or don't add up for the older players to be in it, then they need to continue to move down because a
yeah,
lot of these guys, like we've been talking about LeBron, the fact that he's been playing for such a long time, he is going to really dominate every offensive stat probably that exists
yeah.
when it's all said and done. So that's gonna that's gonna push some of the older players down. That's only fair.
Well, the reason why I say
It's
that
gonna continue to evolve. Yeah,
the reason why I say I think it's because it's a lot of I mean, in every industry, but I think it's a lot of politics going on. Hey, vote me in. You my boy, I got you. You vote me in, I vote you in, type stuff. I mean, it's just
yeah,
I think it's a lot of that going on with a lot of the the older guys and stuff like that. And it's unfair to the current guys who are proving themselves. Again, at the end of the day, it's all about stats. So if you can compete or see oversee supersede, excuse me, but the former guys, I mean, you gotta move out of the way, and you gotta
yeah,
bring those new guys in, because there's a lot of guys coming up that are inching towards the end of their career that's going to have a very very good chance of making it in that top 50, top 75, who make a strong argument for themselves.
yeah. I mean, that's only fair because you can't have somebody from this example. Moses Malone that may not match up to the numbers of KG or match up to the numbers of Dirk. Obviously, he had a great impact, but you
Hmm.
just you got to be fair and work on who should be there based on the facts. Like I think we get that's another thing about these arguments is that we're basing it on emotion. Oh, well, I
Hmm.
seen Jordan play back in the '90s. I understand that, but who is the true person just based on the numbers? I mean, the numbers to me don't lie, especially just with some of these newer guys that we're going to see that are going to continue to grow and progress and continue to dominate because KD is going to be up there somewhere. You got to put him, I think, and definitely in that conversation because of the
I,
championships.
I'm going to always favor the current guys. Unfortunately, because it's like, no knock towards the older generation, but the game is constantly always evolving, right?
Right,
It's always
changing.
going
Yeah,
to evolve. It's always going to get better. And the skill, just the outlook and everything, man. That's the way it's supposed to be.
yeah,
So I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's just what it is. The play style, how refs call the game, how players are playing the game. I mean, these are all factors, you know.
right,
So
exactly. Exactly. Brandon says the owners are tired of the crap ruining, breaching contracts, forcing their way to places. They got to be like they're expecting Harden to be there through the end of his contract. I'm going back to Houston. So when he's not there, obviously that's affecting their bottom line. And now at this point, I don't know where they are as far as the standings or whatever, but I'm sure they're not getting as many butts in the seats like what they were before without
you
Harden there.
I think it's going to affect. It may not affect. Say the owners in the front office start coming down hard, right, on the players. Um, I think it may not hurt the superstars and the all stars as much, but I definitely feel like it'll start hurting the mid tier, low tier players in the league.
Yeah, I agree.
They won't have as much control or power. Your LeBron Jameses, your KDs, they'll still be able to do what they want to do at the end of the day. But I feel like it's going to really hit the mid to low tier guys if the owners decide to crank this up and be like, yo, it's time to take back control.
Yeah, I agree. Those guys like um, those sharpshooting guys that was getting the 3 and D guys that were getting
Hmm.
big time contracts. It's definitely Wes Matthews. That's the name I was thinking of. Came to Dallas and got cashed out, and it really didn't equal the production. But yeah, I think those guys are 100% going to get. affected because that one off season, man, it seemed like everybody was getting 15 million a year. I
Mm,
don't I don't know how, but a lot of these guys was getting paid. So I 100% agree with that. Brandon says LeBron is precisely why I'm not a stats guy. Hey, look, the dude's played since he was 18, so
yeah, he's played a long
he,
time.
he's he's gonna get he's gonna get a lot of these stats. All right,
100%.
definitely. All right, Clear Lanes on the show tonight, one on one with Clear Lanes Friday night special. And like I've said, this platform of the Friday night special is available to all BS3 network shows. So collabos are definitely welcome. And anybody that's watching that wants to come on the show or wants to be a guest on a Friday night special, definitely reach out to us. Anything you want to leave us with before we get out of here?
Man, just continue to follow God. Continue to follow God. Follow your, His plan and purpose for your life. Keep your head up. I know times is crazy right now,
Yeah,
but just keep pushing, keep believing, keep having faith. So y'all check me out, man. I am clearlanes.com. Go follow me on all social medias at clearlanes, ClearLanes. Again, go check out my podcast, Be in Your Lane TV on YouTube. Um, that's it, man. Thank you guys for having me. It was a pleasure.
definitely. All right, let's go ahead and get into this latest single, Black History. And we appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the comments. Make sure to find this on all platforms. Excuse me. And yeah, let's go ahead and close it out.
Feel my vibe and energy, they tryna take our memory. Our black history should never be a mystery. The chain is broken, the servant into a leader. Don't let nobody shame you, be proud of your black features. Feel my vibe and energy, they tryna take our memory. Our black history should never be a mystery. The chain is broken, the servant into a leader. Don't let nobody shame you, be proud of your black features. Black history, black history, black history. Don't kill your black history. It's black history, black history. Take my black history, black history, black history, black history. Learn your black history. It's black history, black history, black history. Can't take my black history. Land of the free, home of the brave. It wasn't pleasant starting out, but look how far we done came, yeah. 40 acres in a mule, we started out. This land was set aside for blacks who got freedom in the South. Black codes instituted once the Union pulled it out. Emancipation Proclamation, Abraham let us out. He was shot. Andrew Johnson took the wheel and led the way. The 13th and 14th Amendment had to see its day. Let's fast forward, still divided. Ain't no rap, no ball. No southern states start instituting racial Jim Crow laws. No hotels, water fountains, different bathroom stalls. Separate but equal, Plessy versus Ferguson, y'all. Feel my vibe and energy, they tryna take our memory. Our black history should never be a mystery. The chain is broken, the servant into a leader. Don't let nobody shame you, be proud of your black features. Feel my vibe and energy, they tryna take our memory. Our black history should never be a mystery. The chain is broken, the servant into a leader. Don't let nobody shame you, be proud of your black features. Black, 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 black. Black, 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 black. Black history, black history, black history. Don't kill your black history. It's black history, black history, black history. Can't take my black history. Black history, black history, black history. Learn your black history. It's black history, black history, black history. Can't take my black history. They couldn't hold us down forever. We was built to find a way. The black renaissance, the great migration was the way. Black leaders rising up while Jackie killed to fill the play. Malcolm X, Martin Luther, Rosa Parks paved the way. Civil Rights Act, 1964, the Black Power. Tommy Smith, John Carlos, Black Panthers raised ours. Mike Jordan in the air. Oprah Winfrey teaches how slave Scholarships to black presidents, Obama in the house. Feel my vibe and energy, they tryna take our memory. Our black history should never be a mystery. The chain is broken, the servant into a leader. Don't let nobody shame you, be proud of your black features. Feel my vibe and energy, they tryna take our memory. Our black history should never be a mystery. The chain is broken, the servant into a leader. Don't let nobody shame you, be proud of your black features. Black history, black history, black history. Don't kill your black history. It's black history, black history, black history. Can't take my black history. Black history, black history, black history. Learn your black history. It's black history, black history, black history. Can't take my black history.
Straight fire.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you again.
No problem. Y'all have a good night.
All right. Peace.